Okay, 1184, good luck. So a bit of a rating gap. We've not played before, there's no head-to-head score. An opponent, what, just over 1,000 games of Rapid. I've done 850-ish, 860-ish now. Play Carol for this one. You can pretty much pre-move d5, you know, pretty much whatever white does, but it is Rapid, so no need to. If he takes, I'll just develop the knight here and try and take back with my knight. Check, we can always block. Okay, I'm going to play pawn up first just to stop this initial check. See if he tries to guard the pawn. He doesn't. So I'm okay to take back here. See, I've done a pre-move to recapture back there. If takes a highlight was different. And we want knight up, maybe bishop up somewhere, pawn up, bishop up somewhere, castle, that sort of concept. We could do g6 and, you know, depending on how white plays this. So I like the idea of just the straight, I was going to say bishop up there, that's actually just hung a bishop, hasn't it? Just got to pay attention here, like check, and I could easily block it. He's just dropped his bishop on a wrong square and forgotten it was, or just missed that it was covered. Very unlucky by my opponent there, very unfortunate. So queen up now, it makes really good sense just to trade there. We've gained a piece, so get material off the board if you can. Develop the knight to stop this knight jumping up. Develop the bishop. So it makes sense just get the bishop into play. Pawn up, get the bishop into play, castle. Okay, so take. I'll just pawn up. I can play this one relatively quickly now, of course. We're up material and there's a big rating gap. It should be comfortable. It doesn't mean I can't mess it up, of course. Anybody can mess up any game. Okay, I'm going to go here. I'm just going to castle now. I can launch the pawn, bring the bishop across, knight forward, knight up looks like a sensible move. So I'm going to play that. We hit 2 pawns. And we can try and get our rooks into the game. So we can take a pawn and hit 2 pieces. We can take this pawn. Doesn't matter. He might be just looking at bishop down there. So take here, bishop down, gain a rook. Rook takes, we go across. Bishop takes. Could be a little bit unnecessary. Let's just move the king across just to cut that move out. We're still hitting 2 pawns. Okay, so he's come across. So which one do we want? Does it matter? I think I'm going to go for this one. We hit the rook. We can't go back here, but we can go back here. Okay, so we could come here and round the angle. That's a nice square actually, isn't it? Hit the rook, come round the angles. We guard our pawn as well as hitting the bishop. So we hit the bishop and guard the pawn. Again, if rook across, we should be fine to take. If rook takes, we could simply play rook across or drop the knight back. So rook across, I think we just fine to simply take. So he's gone back. Now this does connect his pawns, but it gets a piece off the board, so it's very good for us, or should be. So now we're going to try and get a rook forward, challenge for the open file. So he's played rook up to counter that, logical. I'm going to give my king a square just so I don't do something really stupid and blunder the back rank. Pawn comes down, we can always counter that. Now that allows me to bring my bishop up. Now it can't really be challenged too easily. So king up or the bishop could drop back. That pawn is covered, so I'll bring my other rook across and I'll guard here with my king maybe. Or maybe we can push forward. Let's bring the king up. I could try and blockade there, of course, but there's no real need, I don't believe. What do I do? Actually, I will do that actually. I'll just potentially conceding the open file, but I'll put pressure on here with a view to bishop hitting the rook at some point. Or we could go here. Actually, yeah, let's go this way. Let's just hit the pawn. It's not easy to keep these pawns, so we'll just go after the easier targets. Bishop can blockade, pawn can run, we can still drop back. So we just got to still pay attention just in case. Okay, so king goes across, so we'll take a pawn. We threaten another pawn. So we got what, 6 against 4 pawns with the spare bishop. So we can try and trade the pieces off, trade the rooks off at some point. So we can just take now, right? Am I missing something? Take, rook across. I mean, we can defend it, but is it a bit unnecessary? Rook across, we've got rook up. No, I think it's fine. It feels fine, doesn't it? Get another pawn off the board. We should get a rook off the board as well. He comes forward, so... Well, I could take the rook here. You can block. So I'm not sure it makes a difference. Check to deflect the king, but one rook guards the other, so I'm just going to take the rook. Okay, now I'm going to come back with a tempo attacking the pawn. If he pushes, like I say, we just got to kind of pay attention. So we're now threatening a check here. It might have been better to push the other pawn there, create that passed pawn, but we can easily sack material for it. So he's gone across. I'm just going to push the pawn up here. Again, rook can defend, so that makes sense to me. Now try and get the bishop back somewhere. He's gone across, so I'll drop the bishop back and get ready to push the pawn up. Okay, so we're going to march forward. We'll just take if he pushes here. We just march on again. I mean, we can play rook across as a safety move, but I think the pawns are too quick here. Okay, so does it matter? I'm not sure it matters which pawn we do here. If you take, we just push on and you can't stop the pawn. So just march the pawn up here. Take, pawn up, rook down, just queen. Looks nice and clean. Again, it's not easy when you're playing someone with a 1,000-point rating gap, of course. It's a decent effort by my opponent, this. It's not a bad effort considering the rating gap and obviously trusting that the rating is accurate. I just have to not do something really stupid like allow a pawn right down the board. Our opponent's offering a draw. I shouldn't really be doing that. Okay, he's gone back. Let's just get a queen. So we'll take. Okay, let's just throw a check in. No, let's throw a check in. It's never a stalemate when there's a check, but there's always a pawn that can push, so it wouldn't be a stalemate anyway, but it will be if I take now. So check here. Yeah, just go with the check. Is that checkmate here? It is. It is. So let's see what it was in engine speak, just like we check all of the games. So 48 moves. So they're the move times for both players there. Excuse me, let's just request analysis. It was a comfortable game, so the figures could be a little bit misleading, but let's just see. In particular, we're trying to see if we've made any opening blunders and anything to learn from, but it was just a mistake by our opponent. So yeah, we played 99% versus 88%, but it was a really comfortable game, wasn't it? I couldn't have really had a more straightforward game, but opponent still played 88%. It's only flagged a couple of mistakes, one blunder, one mistake, and that's it. So that's all the engine has flagged there. So it's just finding common sense development moves, and it was just bishop to d3, just hanging the piece. That's all it was. Just bishop to d3, just simply hanging the piece. That's all it was. He might have meant to go to e2. We might have simply overlooked the fact that it was covered. And then once you've got up material like this, it just makes sense to trade down and simplify as much as you can to remove that little bit of risk of messing up. So we're just trying to find common sense moves here. Make sure we don't blunder the back rank. Then we just go after these pawns. Yeah, I know I'm going relatively quickly here, but there's not really too much to look at it. So we played a good game here, but like I said, it's still a decent effort by my opponent considering the gap here. Never easy. We find a nice checkmate to finish there, but decent effort by my opponent there. Well done.